Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Hi Rogers, can I ask you something?
Shoot.
What does corruption mean?
Well, summarily, corruption is abuse of public power for personal gain or for the benefit of a group to which one owes allegiance. For example, when a public office is abused by an official accepting or soliciting a bribe. By the way, private people can be corrupt too, like bribing police officers to escape fines.
Okay. So exactly how does that concern me?
Well, do you pay taxes?
I guess, yeah. What does that have to do with this?
Everything. Because those taxes you pay are supposed to facilitate services you use, like water, electricity, roads construction, medicines in hospitals, name it.
Okay, that is much bigger than I thought. But it can be stopped, right?
Well, yes it can, although it may not be as easy as it sounds. And here is the reason why. Corruption roots are grounded in our country's social, political, economic, bureaucratic traditions and policies.
So, what has kept it going this long? I mean, why don't we stop it?
Well, the main reason why it has been here for so long is because institutions are weak, either as a result of poorly defined ethical standards of public service, weak administrative and financial systems, or ineffective watchdog agencies.
What can we do to stop it?
At a national level, we must focus on strengthening the independence and effectiveness of public institutions that fight corruption. At a personal level, we must commit to never giving a bribe.
I promise I'll never give a bribe.
Well, that's a great decision you have made. Me and you now have to spread this message to all our friends. If we all do our part, corruption will be no more.
This message is brought to you by Alternative Digital. The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Good morning and a warm welcome to this edition of the Mighty Drive Show. My name is Edgar Mathew Karuhanga. 100 million shillings per member of parliament as we speak today. Many of the legislators in Uganda's August House as we speak today are 100 million richer. Now this comes at a time when the country is grappling with a lot of challenges. And remember, each parish in the parish development model, a scheme that is to empower Ugandans, each parish is receiving 100 million shillings as support that is going to help Ugandans empower themselves from poverty. And yet, the legislators receive what we call a token of appreciation. Is it a bribe? Is it outright corruption for 100 million shillings to be given to each member of parliament without accountability? We'll be talking about that and much more. And remember, in the other African country of Kinshasa, of Congo, the capital Kinshasa has experienced exponential rainfalls. That means we are having floods covering most parts of the world today. Is climate change something that is real? And of course, in the world of sport, Manchester United yet again lose to Newcastle as they head on to their 4-1 victory. Now, as we speak, Newcastle is in 4th position in the English Premier League. I welcome each and every one of you to this edition of the Mighty Drive Show. My name is Edgar Mathew Karuhanga. As I've already told you, every Monday to Friday, we're always here having a conversation with Uganda. Starting from 8 to 10 a.m., we try to inform you, touching base with some of the things that are happening in the society, and of course, trying to find solutions to the various problems that this country continues to grapple with. Remember, we are streaming live on YouTube, but also on Facebook. That is the Alternative Uganda page, but also Digital TV page. You feel free to just send me any of your comments, questions, remarks, and I'll be subsequently reading them out for you and the public. A special birthday shout outs to our guest this morning, that is Bigirwa Moses. This gentleman is celebrating his birthday today. Happy birthday from the entire Digitalk team. We want to first of all thank you for the consistency that you've held for the last 4 years, being able to come to this particular program. A happy birthday to you, and of course we wish you blessings and blessings as you enter a new eon, a new cycle of your life. Bigirwa Moses, happy birthday from the entire Digitalk team, and specifically to the people of Kamuli Municipality. This is your gentleman, and we wish him a happy birthday. We hope that come 2026 something will be done in that regard. Allow me to delve into some of the stories that have been making rounds in the country and the rest of the globe. I told you as we are starting this newscast this morning, we have news coming in from Uganda's parliament, as the parliament of Uganda has been awarded 100 million shillings each to each member of parliament. Now, this has been in the news from last week after the leader of opposition, that is Joel Senyonyi, informed the country of some dubious money that has been awarded to various legislators, especially in the August House. Now, Senyonyi, the leader of opposition, claimed that each member of parliament received money from President Museveni. President Museveni has, in the wake of last week, confirmed that yes, there is some money that has been given out to some members of parliament. But the question is, he asks, what is corruption? How about the members of parliament who receive money from other countries, other foreigners? That's what he said, foreign influence or foreign funding to influence the politics of this country. What should we call them? So in defense, President Museveni wants to claim that if other members of parliament, other people are receiving money from foreign donors, it's justifiable if he also awards some of his legislators this money. The question is, how is this money being budgeted for? From under which budget is this money coming from? And when you calculate 100 million times 529 members of parliament, how much money would that be? I'm talking about billions of shillings. We'll be talking about that. That is the topic, the main topic of discussion this morning. How best can countries and how best can Uganda really be better, especially with this increasing, irrelevant spending of government resources. Remember, this money comes from the treasury, that is the government confine. We'll be talking about that this morning when I'm joined by Bigirwa Moses from the Eastern Revolutionary Platform. I'll start off with some of the US tariffs. In fact, let's start off in Africa, in Kinshasa, that is the capital city of Democratic Republic of Congo. They are grappling with floods as we speak after a heavy downpour that has been falling from last week. This is not the first time that Kinshasa is flooding. A couple of times every time it often rains in that part of the world, it is characterized, or they experience a lot of floodings, and these floods have culminated into the death of some individuals. Unfortunately, may their soul rest in peace. Over 30 people have lost their lives in these particular exponential rainfalls. This is also the same story or phenomenon here in Uganda, as we experienced last month when a heavy downpour was experienced in Kampala, and I think we had more than 2 people lose their lives in that particular regard. Now, we hope that something can be done about this, but most of it has come from the poor infrastructure generally, not just in Kinshasa alone and Kampala, but generally even in Dubai. We were seeing the same stories. Even in Qatar, we saw the same phenomenon. So that means with the evolution of industrialization, infrastructure development, comes a lapse in what we call the drainage system, or in the built-up drainage systems of those particular cities, leading to flooding oftentimes in such urban areas. Now, this is also a signifier that climate change is actually real in this part of the world, and many people who have been thinking that this is just a hoax, climate change is not real, this is signal enough to confirm to us that it is actually something that is serious. Climate change is serious with us. We hope that as we continue to develop our cities and countries, this can be something that we put in regard. Because one question I always ask myself when I'm here on the drive is, what if it rains for 7 days non-stop? what will happen to some of these cities and countries. I hope the Ministry of Environment and Disaster Preparedness is all ready for that particular experience in case it has to happen. Now I'll also talk about some of the tariffs that have been meted on African countries and generally countries globally by the US new government under the presidency of President Donald Trump. Now Trump, after his ascension to the biggest office in the United States of America, he has a slogan that he came up with that was to make America great again. And in making America great again, he had to restructure how resources are dispersed and how money is used from the confines of the USA government. Now with this comes a new phenomenon, some new sets of rules that will be helping America be great again in Donald Trump's regard. Now he brought up a few tariffs that will be given to various countries or imposed on various countries that export or import products to the United States of America. Among those countries is Uganda, and I'll be reading some of the tariffs that have been given to various countries in Africa. Now I'll start off with Uganda, where we are in, yes, and East Africa generally. There is a 10% levy or percentage of tax that has been levied on Ugandans' products. So if there is a product coming from Uganda and being exported to the United States of America, you'll have to pay 10% of that particular product. That is tax. Then in Kenya, it's still 10%. Tanzania, it is 10%. So most of the East African countries, I'm talking about Eritrea, South Sudan, all of these countries have been given a 10% levy tariff. And only DRC, Democratic Republic of Congo, has received a tariff that is slightly above that, which is 11%. Now when we go to the West African economies, most of them have been imposed. Liberia 10%, Togo 10%, Gabon 10%, Senegal 10% of their resources, Ghana 10%, then Cameroon slightly above that is 11%, and Nigeria 14%, and Equatorial Guinea 13%. Now the most levied country in the West African region by the United States of America is the Ivory Coast, with 21% of the taxes that have been imposed on that West African country. That means Ivory Coast has slightly been overcharged other than the other countries. Then some of the other countries that I'll be giving you, China is also part of this phenomenon that we are speaking about, although China has shown that it is ready for anything that the United States is preparing for them. Now, is this a new world order? Are we redefining how taxes are being, how trade is being done generally with the imposition of new taxes, and what does it mean for the United States to tax new, to make these new taxes, especially in the products that are going to that particular country? Remember that when you look at the exports that are made generally by Uganda, they are not even too much. So if you increase that tax to 10%, really I think America is trying to create a cage over themselves. But remember, we are in a global economy. The European Union countries have been taxed by the USA, by the way. So countries like UK, Sweden, Finland, and all those countries in the European Union have also been levied a specific tax on their products that are being exported to the United States. Same as China, same as Eastern Europe and countries like Russia. So we'll be also looking at how that plays out, especially in the global dynamics. I'll talk about the Uganda Cranes under-17 team that has qualified for the under-17 World Cup. Congratulations to you, the Uganda Cranes, that is under-17. Congratulations to you. It is not something that was easy. This happened after a win by Uganda against the Gambia. That was a special win by 2-1, and the goals were scored by Bogere. Congratulations to that young lad from the Uganda Cranes team. Now that means Uganda is going to be taking part in the Under-17 World Cup tournament that will be happening in Qatar towards the end of this particular year. We want to congratulate the young boys for what they have done and making Uganda proud. This is the first time ever that Uganda is going to be appearing in at the Under-17 World Cup. We hope for the best, by the way, as we also pray for our team, the Uganda national team, that is the Cranes senior team, to be able to also make history one time. They've already made history. Uganda Cranes is going to be playing in the AFCON 2025 in December this year. They're going to be playing, but also we are going to be hosting the AFCON 2027. That means it's going to be a back-to-back qualifications for the Uganda Cranes. I think we are past the mark of just participating or taking part in these particular campaigns. I think this is a time to also be winning and also be creating impact therein. Lastly, at just 19 minutes past the top of the hour, you're still watching the Mighty Drive Show, and my name is Edgar Mathew Karuhanga. I'm always here every Monday to Friday. We start at 8 to 10 a.m. having a conversation with Uganda, and of course touching best to some of the current affairs, current affairs stories that are happening in Uganda. We also had a Peace Day celebrations happening in this country. That was in Yumbe district, and of course the head of state, the fountain of honor, Mr. President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, was the guest of honor in that particular campaign. And we saw prior to that engagement a couple of conversations being had here and there over the legislator and of course the deputy prime minister of this country, Moses Ali, as he was advocating for some of the people of Yumbe to come for the peace event, even though he was advocating for people to come and take part in that particular event that was hosted in Yumbe district. Some people claimed that he was campaigning and promising the people of Yumbe that he will be coming back. First of all, I want to fact check that news tabloid that said this. It is false that Moses Ali is from Yumbe district. Moses Ali is actually a member of parliament for East Moyo constituency. So we want to also fact check the Observer newspaper that highlighted this story. And of course he was not in any way campaigning for himself, but of course he was requesting people to come and rally in Yumbe district. Talking about the event itself, President Museveni made a lot of remarks thanking the people of the northern part of Uganda for actually the change that has been experienced in that part. And he also said that they have not criticized UPC in any way. That's the statement he said. He said, we did not harass UPC. In fact, we left them with the Uganda House, a building that was built by government resources. But being the NRA government, we decided to just let them stay with that building. And it's on record that the Uganda House is actually under the stewardship and management of the Uganda People's Congress, even though that particular building was built by funds that were contributed by Ugandans. That means it's the Uganda government that legally owns that building. But President Museveni said, after we took power, you did not want to persecute the Uganda People's Congress, and that's why we left that building for them. Remember, Yumbe district and most of the part of the Lango sub-region is actually a region that is characterized by a lot of support in the Uganda People's Congress. You remember the by-elections we've had in Dokolo, UPC was very pivotal there, and some of the constituencies in northern Uganda. The question also is President Museveni actually campaigning as he continues with these particular campaigns all over the country, with these particular events, by the way, all over the country? Is he actually campaigning, or are we seeing him doing his presidential duties as the head of state? At just 22 minutes past the top of the hour, my name is Edgar Mathew Karuhanga. Allow me to take a break right now. When I come back, I'll be joined with the birthday boy, Edgar Moses from the Eastern Revolutionary Platform, and we'll be talking about that and much more. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is the Mighty Drive Show. My name is Edgar Mathew Karuhanga. Let's take a break right now. The Mighty Drive continues.